vlog this morning on a property that we are at known as Hillview, and it is a Hillview Biennale Sculpture Festival located in Sutton Forest. So as you can see right behind me, beautiful view. I'm going to take you guys around and just have a look at some sculptures which I think are quite interesting and maybe something that you'd like to see in your own time if you get the time to come down to Hillview in Sutton Forest. So let's go and have a look at some. Look at that beautiful view behind me, look at that. Some of the sculptures that have been exhibited on the property this morning or this afternoon. Like, oh, here we go, there's some writing about this wooden sculpture. What does it say? Okay, so nothing too specific about this particular sculpture, but I quite like it. I think it's a nice wooden piece. It's quite nice. I don't mind that. That's quite nice. Nice sculpture actually. She's done a really good job. She's put the little pieces of wood. I like that. Can little possums go in there, I wonder? No, okay. Maybe not, that's just me. My thing. That's quite nice. Yeah, they quite look like synaptic brain connections. That's really cool, I like that. Maybe I did want to mention that a lot of these sculptures do have an explanation what they're all about and you know what the artist was intending to create. So some of the explanations that you're hearing from me is really what I'm tapping into and what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling and connecting with, not necessarily the explanation that the artist has intended when they've created that particular artwork. So just a side note if you do come to the sculpture gardens yourself. I've already spotted a really cool sculpture that I already love, so I'm going to show you guys. I like most sculptures, but some of them just don't really make sense to me, I suppose. But when I see something that's human form, or I suppose more real life form, it kind of gets me excited. So this one's pretty cool. I quite like this. This is really cool. There's something about metal, and then when they create a living being from it. So I'm just going to turn you guys around and show you what I mean. This is a really cool horse, and I'm going to try to get the best lighting that I can and give you guys a better angle. But they've done a really good job of creating emotion with metal, and yeah, there's just something really cool about him. I don't know what it is exactly, but they've really got that emotional aspect down pat really well. I suppose his colour, I don't know, his colour's got something to do with the tomb, that rusty metal, the whole uniform monochromatic tone, and it kind of sets the mood, so you haven't got the option to go anywhere else other than focus on what he's thinking and what he's doing. Really super cool sculpture. Sculpture that I just showed you guys right up above is actually made out of wire, and it's quite deceptive because you can't see it. It's in between trees, which is really clever because what they're doing is they're almost, at least for me, highlighting the fact that there's spirits or tree fairies or things that live amongst us that perhaps we aren't able to see. And so they've hung that particular sculpture way above in the tree line, and because there's branches hanging over it, you can't quite tell that it's there. So it's quite cool. I think they've done a really good job with that. But yeah, that was a really, really cool sculpture. So I'm going to head down into a video installation, which I think it's new for Hillview Biennale exhibition. They didn't have that 2 years ago, so I'm quite keen to see exactly what that's all about. So let's go and check that out.
Successful when you can almost walk by them and not even realize you walked by a sculpture.
Having something in your head is completely different from having something in your head and putting it through your hands to make it.
I think I chose steel because there was always going to be an inherent challenge with it, and I felt like there was something that would sustain my interest in a way, and I guess push me to find different ways of working with it.
This instinct to want to hack into it became a real impulse, so I did just so. Picked up a lump of stone and hacked into it with screwdrivers and hammers.
My explorations in timber, I take them on with everything that I've learned about sandstone.
For me, it's about finding imbalance, because it's imbalance that creates movement and energy.
I think my practice of making sculpture has really everything to do with who I become.
The relationship I have with my work is
There's a really nice link between the sculptures and the surroundings, that they merge almost from their creator and into the current atmosphere, which is quite nice. But some of them I'm finding a little bit static, and I'm almost wishing that there was some type of something happening around them in order to give them life. Beautiful, beautiful atmosphere. And there's another sculpture right behind me, as you can see up here. It's actually a sheet of metal, but they've made it into a like draped, washing or bed linen, which is quite good, I think. Yeah, so quite nice, worth a visit, definitely worth a visit. I mean, that's the house that's situated on this property, which is quite grand, quite nice. And they've also got exhibitions or sculptures and paintings inside, which I'll take you through. I just want to walk through this particular sculpture here, which is quite interesting. So I'm not quite sure how to actually interact with this sculpture, but I'm going to walk through and see. Maybe there's something written actually on these banners. There might be something written on the banners. Yeah, so what they've done, I think each one of these banners, people have written things like, my name is Jeff, hi Jeff. They've also got, there once was a man named Paul. Hello Paul. All is well in my world. I love that. All is well in my world. All is well in my world. Don't die with your music still inside you. Wow. Now that's quite special. And I got to tell you why that's special. Special so many ways, because that quote is from one of my all-time favourite authors by the name of Wayne Dyer, who passed away about 3 years ago, August the 30th. Such synchronicity. Wayne, you're here with us. I love it. I love it. Cool, cool, cool installation. Love this sculpture, and I think we can also participate and write something here and put on the tree. I'm going to do that. Okay. So we've just made or contributed to this sculpture by making our own little messages or wishing on these white cotton strips, and then you tie it to the tree. But what's really interesting is that the thing that I'm loving about this sculpture in particular is that there was one particular couple that walked past and actually said how horrible that this tree was decimated. Interesting. I think it's that's right. I think she called it selfish art, which was quite interesting. Whereas from my perspective, I want to, look at the opposite side of the coin. I think that this is actually an inspirational tree where people can come and almost be surrounded by almost people that and their words that they would never have otherwise been able to interact with. So it's quite interesting, but well done for this installation. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Next one. So that was it about the sculptures at Hillview. Definitely worth the drive if you guys can make it. It's open until the 27th of May, every single day, of course. If you can get here on a day like this, which is beautiful, sunny, definitely take the time to come down at Sutton Forest, and it happens every 2 years. Now, I want to quickly say a bit more information about Hillview, the sculptures that are being presented at Hillview, and also just summate my top 3 sculptures and let you know a little bit more about why I actually like them so much. Now, Hillview, of course, is a sculpture exhibition that happens every 2 years, and it takes place in Sutton Forest in New South Wales, Australia. It's about an hour and 40 minutes from Sydney, depending how fast you drive, but it's quite easy to get to. A lot of parking, quite open, so that you never feel crowded. I suggest that, again, best to go during the weekday if you can. Weekends can be a little bit busy. They are open until the 27th of May, so really worth the trip if you can make it down. It is $15 to get in per person, but I certainly think that it's incredible money spent for the experience, to just see the property, the homestead that's also there, but also the sculptures as well. Now, in terms of the sculptures, I think there were some that were an absolute miss, whereas some were absolutely on point. And what is it that I'm looking for when I interact with art, whether it's a painting or a sculpture? It's really an emotional thing. And I particularly love the fact to be able to expand that sculpture, that energetic creation, and almost add to a creative aspect to that particular initial mindset that created that sculpture. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a minute. So that's probably what I assess some of the sculptures and how I rate them for myself, whether I think they're great or not great. It's purely coming back to that emotional connection that I connect with, and at the same time, how the artist has actually extracted that emotion through their medium. So that for me is quite important with art. But top 3 that I have chosen, or top 3 sculptures that I've chosen, are literally based on that and that whole emotional experience. And so I say this light-hearted. I don't think it needs to be in 3rd place, but if I can say top 2 or equal to. But the 3rd one that I love is Andy Townsend and Susie Bleach, which is the metal horse that you saw called Burden. And these particular sculptures are from Wapengo in New South Wales. You can read all the backstory of how they created it and what they created. But for me personally, when I saw that sculpture, it was just so, emotional. I mean, it had so much things it was carrying, and it was almost like, you know, where am I going and am I going to get there? So that was quite nice for me to interact with. I really, really loved that one. The other sculpture that I loved, which is my second favourite, is a sculpture by the name, by the artist called Barbara Leica or Leica, I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, and she's from Sydney, and she created a sculpture called Tenants. Now, Barbara really, you know, the excerpt that she wrote about that is that it's about people. As humans, we are connected to each other, belong to diverse groups, and form communities. But the funny thing is that when I actually saw that sculpture and it was hanging in between these two trees, a little bit of wind was moving it about. He actually looked a little bit ethereal, and it almost like had a ghostly feel about it, that it was almost inviting people of present and past to exist within that. I absolutely love that. That for me was incredible. And my top sculpture, interactive sculpture if you'd like, is by Jessica Raschke, which is a sculpture called Wisdom Weaving. And she's a text-based installation artist and writer, and her work explores how people generate a sense of meaning and purpose for themselves and their lives. And this is of course that sculpture that I showed you, which was where you could write a message on a piece of cloth and then hang it in the tree. And the funny thing about that is that what drew me to that particular sculpture was, because when I saw it in the distance, all I saw was these white long strips of cloth blowing in the wind, and straight away for me that was energy moving, and I thought, wow, it was almost reminiscent of something that I would see in Tibet or part of a Buddhist monastery. So instantly I was drawn to that, and the closer I came to it, instantly I started to see that it was actually people that have written separate messages. And the funny thing about that was that as you started to read the messages, it started to dawn on me that these were messages that people would perhaps not have told anybody else. I mean, they were almost secrets. And so this sculpture has evoked for people to unburden themselves. Some people wrote loving messages. Some people wrote about their emotions on that particular day. Like in particular, one mum who said, "I'm really tired. P.S. I'm a new mum." I mean, that was quite. It was brilliant to be part of that. Another gentleman wrote that he lost two loves of his life a consecutive year in a row, and I thought, wow, you know, and that it was hard for him. So that particular sculpture by Jessica Raschke, I think, deserves an applause. Absolutely worthwhile. And for me personally, like I said, I love the fact that, you know, that sculpture is not static, it's actually moving, because every time somebody approaches it and sees those messages, which to me almost like people that are moving in the wind, you can add to it and you can keep on creating, you can add your own energy to that particular sculpture. So there you go. I think it's definitely a worthwhile trip to make, not only to Hillview, but certainly if you guys get the opportunity to drive around the Southern Highlands. It's a picturesque town, and it's going to give you a good energy feel coming out of the city, and of course experiencing the bush. As always, I thank you guys for tuning in. I thank you for your support. Remember to subscribe and to also click on that little bell icon, which of course will tell you when I upload new videos. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Always happy to help. And in the meantime, remember, you guys are 1 out of 7 billion, and that makes you incredibly unique and special. And remember that diversity creates unity. And why is that? Because we want to have different opinions and different ideas. Otherwise, if everything was the same, it'd be pretty bloody boring. Until next time, guys.